it by the score of 7-0 as you watch the 4A state championship game exclusively on Sports Channel.
There are holes. There are holes. Home entertainment centers. And then home entertainment centers. 10,000 radio stations. And America's classic radio station. Chicago's favorite. WGN. When radio really matters, it's the difference between Thanksgiving at Grandma's house and...
The high school action is hot in Chicagoland, and nobody delivers it better than Preps Plus in the Chicago Tribune. Every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Preps Plus serves up the games, the players, and the plays that mean the most to you. High school's greatest hits, scores, and a way to keep track of the local sports scene. So dive into full color coverage and get in the game. The high school game with Preps Plus, only in the Trib. For home delivery, call 1-800-TRIBUNE.
Our only touchdown came midway through the first quarter. It belongs to the Maple Leafs of Geneseo, who have the ball now. 3rd down and 6 at the 31-yard line. 7:46 to go here in the second quarter. Let's see what the Maple Leafs do on 3rd and long. They're going to try to put it up as Motzer. Throws incomplete. Broken up by Pete Carroll.
And although Geneseo doesn't particularly care to throw the ball, when we talk to Coach Bob, but he feels that Mark Motzer can throw the ball as well as anybody, that he's a talented quarterback. And you'll get an opportunity to see him throw the football there. Now, there's nothing wrong with the way he throws it, just that they have a lot of success running the football, so why throw it? But Geneseo does have the capabilities of being able to throw the ball.
Mike Preet broke it up, and Pete Carroll nearly had the interception. It's 4th down, and Sean Worspan back inside his 20, awaits the snap. Nice punt with good hang time, and a fair catch called for by Bonebreak as he goes down to one knee at the Joliet Catholic 37-yard line.
And Geneseo is another football team that is not accustomed to punting the ball, but when Worspan does punt the ball, you see that he gets the good hang time, plus he averages over 40 yards a kick. That's not bad for a punter.
Bill, this game is beginning to settle into a defensive battle. Are you surprised?
No, I'm not. I did think we'd see a little bit more scoring, but knowing the way Geneseo plays in the first quarter, I think it's going according to Hoyle.
Penalty markers thrown just as the Hilltoppers snapped the football. By the way, as we looked at the Geneseo defense, we saw that their right tackle, Spencer Troster, was indeed back in action. The penalty will go against Joliet Catholic. 5-yard penalty for the false start. We'll make it 1st and 15 back at the Hilltopper 32-yard line.
And there's a concerned coach.
Those are the kind of mistakes that really turn a coach's stomach. 7:32 to go in the second quarter. Geneseo leading 7-0 here in the championship game for 4A. Medlow swings it out to Allstott. He gets one-on-one with the quarterback, slowed up by Cameron Minard. And then Matt Jaycox finished up on the tackle at the 39-yard line, a gain of 7.
Now you see Joliet Catholic going to a type of spread where they put triples to one side. We'll get a good example of this. Medlow's throwing to the outside man, which is Allstott, who's normally a running back. So Joliet Catholic adjusting their offense a little bit to the fact that maybe the quickness of Geneseo is starting to affect their offense.
Right there, they were just trying to isolate Allstott one-on-one with the quarterback. There's the toss to Allstott. Gets by one man, but is corralled at the 40-yard line after a gain of only a yard, and it's 3rd and 7.
You know, that should almost count as a completed pass. That was such a deep pitch.
Earlier in the day with the wind, that would have been a dangerous play, but not so with the conditions this evening.
Could not do that. Even a snap from center on long snaps, the wind was affecting it.
Big play for Joliet Catholic, 3rd and 7 from the 40-yard line. Allstott in motion. Medlow is hit hard from the blind side, back at the 30-yard line, as he was hit by Brandon Tierling. No, Ryan Verbeck, 24, not 54.
He fumbled the ball as he pulled out from the center snap.
He never really had a good grip on the football as you take a look.
There, he dropped. There it is. He fumbled the ball, and there's Verbeck coming from the outside spot, making the play.
Well, I thought I saw Brandon Tierlink there, too. They were both there on the play. It's back at the 32-yard line where Jeff Bonebrake drops back in punt formation and gets the beauty away. Worspan will let the other man have it. And getting to the near sidelines for Geneseo is Kevin Fuhr.
I'll tell you what, Tom, we're up pretty high here, but we can hear that popping. There's some good hits going on out there.
6:05 to go in the second quarter. It is 1st and 10 for Geneseo at the Maple Leafs 31-yard line. And with every series like that, obviously the confidence for Geneseo has to be really flowing. And let's go down to the sidelines and Joe Passion.
One of the things we're seeing is the confused offensive line of Joliet Catholic. The offensive coaches are telling them across the field that they're having problems and are being frustrated by the blitzing linebackers of Geneseo. They're coming from all different angles and are coming at different levels, and different defensive front looks are causing the Joliet Catholic offense to have a very, very confusing first half. But then again, that's why they have two halves to a football game, don't they, gentlemen? Back upstairs.
And that's why the last blitz that you had, where you had Burbeck coming from the outside, when he fumbled, when Nedlow fumbled the football, he could not recover. And here's a coach getting the team together and saying, hey, we got to handle those blitz. We got to pick them up.
2nd and 9 from the Geneseo 32. It is Burbeck, as he is hemmed in at the 34-yard line after he picks up 2 yards, bringing up 3rd and 7. Cornerback Scott Wang, who is not your typical cornerback at 5'8", 146 pounds, but he really studies the films. He's a real student of the game.
And that's why he gets such a good break when the ball is in the air. He anticipates well.
Under 5 minutes for the second quarter. 7-0 Geneseo. Scott Wang, a 5'8" senior, great at breaking out of the football. In fact, he thinks interception and touchdown all the time. Says he hasn't made it yet, though. The screen set up, and that is Worspan. Taken down by the quarterback, Pete Carroll. And all that for no gain on the play, as Joliet Catholic's defense makes its presence known, and we take a look at that play. Nice play action fake by the quarterback.
Coming back to Worspan. Worspan, of course, was the end to that side. It's a tight end screen, but it was picked up by Joliet. Didn't fool him.
It is 4th down. And so, Sean Worspan is back as you take a look at Jeff Bonebrake. Two very versatile athletes at both ends here. Both Bonebrake and Worspan. Very, very versatile. Do a lot of things. Bonebrake gathers him into the 39. Can't quite shake a tackle.
Excellent coverage, Tom. Excellent coverage.
At the 44-yard line is where the Hilltoppers will take it over, 1st and 10.
We were talking about what Joliet Catholic was doing on the last series of offense. They had 3 backs out. One of the reasons that Geneseo's defense was so effective is they only had 1 back. They had too many people going out, and they couldn't handle the blitzing. There aren't enough people in the backfield set to pick up that blitz.
1st and 10 from the Hilltopper 44 with 4:22 to go in the first half.
And we're going right back to it. Let's see what Geneseo does, if they make any adjustments on their call, or if they still stay with the same defensive look.
They've got triple receivers to the left side in Allstott, Freeman, and Holman. Nedlow puts it up to the other side. Intercepted. And the defender stepped out of bounds at the 29-yard line. They were looking for Bonebrake, and it was picked off by the 5'9" junior Tom Britton.
And the adjustment that they made in their passing game was a 3-step drop. Nedlow did not drop back as he normally would, 5 to 7. He took a 3-step drop and then aired it out. Good example right here. He airs it out. A little bit of a wobbly duck, and excellent coverage. Excellent coverage. At the height of the ball, that's when you want to go up to make the catch.
And the height of the pass also allowed the cornerback, Britton, to come up and make the play.
Right, and that's exactly the way you coach somebody to do it.
Running play, gets a couple of yards to the 32-yard line. Brad Jerricks, the 6'1 senior, on the carry, as he is tackled by Eric Gray, who alternates at left end with John Horn. It's a pretty fair couple of guys who alternate at that position.
You know, if the game continues like this, you have to wonder. Now, neither one of these teams have had to use a field goal. They've tried it a couple times, but they haven't had to do it. That may come down to who can kick the field goal, particularly now that you don't have the wind time.
2nd and 8 from the Geneseo 32-yard line. 3:39 to go in the first half. Nice counter play to Verbeck. Didn't get much, however, to the 34-yard line, setting up 3rd and 6 for the Maple Leafs.
You know, Geneseo not only gives you a varied look offensively, but they give you one defensively, and that's their game package. Don't give them the same look twice. Confuse them in terms of you don't see it twice, you have to go here, you go there, and they can't get a real clue as to what you're trying to do, and it's working for them both ways.
Only 1 year since 1974 has Geneseo not qualified for the state playoffs. Under 3 minutes now for the first half. Motzer being chased and throws it away on the near sidelines. Closest defender, closest receiver was Bobby Whiteside.
And maybe he was there.
Maybe.
But that was an excellent play by Mark Motzer, and that's exactly what Coach Boblett said. He said he's a good athlete, he's very heady, he knows what he has to do, and there's a good example. He waited till the last minute to throw it away, knew there was nobody there, but he didn't take the big loss.
There's Scott Wang, 11 interceptions on the year. And he is back as the deep safety, awaiting the punt from Sean Worspawn. Good hang time on that punt. Bowenbrake takes it down at the 28-yard line. And once again, it's Hilltoppers football.
Tom, you get the feeling that they're both a little conservative. They're fair catching the ball. I know there was good hang time, but both teams seem to want to just not make a mistake, that they want somebody else to make it, and they'll take advantage of it.
We've had only one turnover, and Joliet Catholic could not take advantage of that turnover. 2:44 left to go, second quarter. In motion goes Holman. The give is to Jim Lynch. He popped through, has a first down, and is across the 40-yard line. He picked up 12 yards. And obviously, if Joliet Catholic now could take advantage of the clock and get a time-consuming drive here and score just before the half ends, obviously a brand-new football game.
Jim Lynch does a real nice job switching the ball so that he could take advantage. He didn't want to have to fumble the ball. He moved it from one side to the other. That's tough to teach anybody at any level.
Jason Nedlow, straight back. Off the hands of Brian Holman. At the Geneseo 35-yard line, he had double coverage, Tom Britton and the free safety, Sean Worspawn.
Joliet Catholic really likes to throw to that fullback. Holman coming out of the backfield. Obviously, defenses do not respect fullbacks because most of them are guards and can't catch the ball. So they don't look for that big old Hulk coming out of the backfield. He does a pretty nice job.
Holman in the playoff game against Hononegah had 91 yards on 14 carries and a 51-yard touchdown. There you see the situation, 2nd and 10 at the Joliet Catholic 40-yard line.
Now on that defensive set, no one fired. And Joliet Catholic was expecting it, and Geneseo came right up and made the play.
No gain at all on the running play. Maybe a half yard. Call it 3rd and 10. Just outside the Hilltopper 40-yard line. 2 minutes left to go in the first half. They said Bowenbrake. Split wide to the right side with Lynch and a wingback right side. Nedlow sets up a middle screen. Gathered in by Allstott. He has the first down in the Geneseo territory. He breaks free, puts the shoulder down, and is to the 25-yard line. Spencer Troster, the defensive right tackle, gets all the way downfield to make the stop.
Well, we haven't talked about Mike Allstott since the first quarter, and he comes up with a big play. Again, doesn't have that breakaway speed, as we'll get an opportunity to see right here. Doesn't have that great speed, makes a nice catch, follows his blockers extremely well and has tremendous balance and just tiptoes down the sidelines before he's knocked out of bounds.
It's at the Geneseo 27 after the 33-yard reception by Mike Allstott. Trying to pick his way free. He gets open. Jim Lynch dragged down from behind by Matt Jaycox, the strong safety at the 13-yard line. Again, a 14-yard gain.
Excellent effort on Mike Allstott. Keeps those legs going. Cuts across the grain, runs into his own player, then exchanges the ball so it's to the outside. Looks like he's going to lose his balance and still holds on to it as a Geneseo defender tries to snitch the ball.
Boy, did he bounce off the center, Rob Espallet. It is 1st and 10 at the 13. And the running play gets to the 9-yard line, a gain of 4 yards. As we take a look at Mike Allstott, and with some more on him, let's go down to the sidelines and Joe Passion.
One of the great things about Mike Allstott this year for Joliet Catholic, and although he's been a little bit slow getting on the track today, is whenever Joliet Catholic seems to be falling flat offensively, they go to the outstanding junior Mike Allstott. That's been proven here. Another point that I'm sure you guys are seeing from upstairs. Outstanding wide receiver, Darren Freeman, number 24. He said before the game his ankle was okay, but he hasn't been returning punts, he hasn't been returning kicks, and they haven't been going to him near the air. All he's been used is a decoy. So far, that's helped open up things for Allstott, at least on this particular series. Back upstairs, fellas.
Thank you, Joe. 1:01 left to go in the second quarter. I'm Tom Stalker, Bill Gorley, Joe Passion here at Hancock Stadium, Illinois State University. What promised to be a dynamite 4A game has lived up to its advanced billing. What is it about this 4A level? Last year, remember the great struggle between Morris and Richards.
Well, I've got my feeling is that because of the number problems with some of the schools, some of the better football teams have dropped down because they don't have the numbers, and so you've got an even spread across 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you look at how many schools back-to-back have gone back to the same classification. It changes year to year.
2nd and 6 from the 9. Driving down Brian Holman. He's inside the 5, and he's close to the goal line. Holman, the 6'3", 230-pound senior, as we are now under a minute. It'll be 1st and goal for the Hilltoppers.
And the one thing that's really devastating to a football team, and I don't care what level it is, Tom, is when you score just before the halftime. This is where momentum comes in.
Big Mo is sneaking around the corner. 1st and goal from the 2. Holman, touchdown Hilltoppers.
That's going to regenerate Joliet Catholic. By scoring right here just before the half, they've worn down Geneseo. Now the question is, you go back in the locker room, Coach Stone says, look, we can win this football game. We're back on track. Geneseo, in the meantime, has to get the batteries recharged so they can come back out with that quickness and that crispness that they've had offensively and defensively.
Jeff Bonebrake has been successful on 49 of 60 point-afters this year. The ball is partially blocked. And it didn't make it. It's no good.
And he has missed 11 extra points.
Make that 12 now.
Right.
As we're not sure who got a piece of it, but it looked to be Jason Baldwin. As you see Bonebrake head to the Joliet Catholic bench. Watch again. Brian Holman, the fullback, scoring his 10th touchdown of the season.
And it's just a regular old reverse out by the fullback, and that's where you want a fullback like him. That's 6'1", 230 pounds, just straight ahead, sheer power football.
Of course, that was set up by the big 33-yard pass from Jason Medlow to Mike Allstott. As the extra point looms big, Geneseo still has the lead.
And a couple of good runs by Mike Allstott in that series of downs also.
Big Boblet, 4th-year head coach of the Geneseo Maple Leafs. What a great program. Remember a great running back they had back in the 70s by the name of Wayne Strader, who became a good friend. And you take a look, 72 yards, sort of a typical Joliet Catholic drive, Bill.
Right, and again, as I was saying, even though it's 7-6 for Geneseo, they still have to get regenerated at halftime, and Joliet Catholic still had to score a touchdown to beat them anyway, so who knows whether that point is going to hurt them now or not.
Knuckleballing kick taken by Tom Britton. And he gets to the 30-yard line with 41 seconds to go in the second quarter. Jim Lynch, there you see, made the stop in the special teams play.
Now with 41 seconds, Tom, do you air it out, or you just say, okay, look, let's just sit on it, let's go back in, and let's get ourselves ready to go?
Well, Vic Boblin feels he's got a passing game. He just hasn't had to use it all year. Maybe he might try to strike for the jugular quickly here and maybe get some momentum back.
I guess I'm a little conservative. I would sit on it right now and just go in and then regroup.
They're going to keep it on the ground. That is Brad Diericks, the fullback, heading to the sidelines and forced out of bounds by the cornerback, Pete Carroll.
I've seen too many people get careless down here and figure, oh, we've only got 40 seconds, let's throw it. And then they get an interception, and all of a sudden, at least a field goal or something else, some other type of scoring occurs simply because you didn't sit on the football and become conservative.
After the 7-yard gain, he got out of bounds to stop the clock with 16 seconds to go in the second quarter. Eric Henderson, 89, you see, with his back to us, brought in the play. Second and short. Worspawn is the lone wide out to the top of your screen.
He's airing it out.
He's going for Worspawn, but he wisely threw it out of bounds. Worspawn had double coverage down the sidelines.
But this is not the time to go down the middle of the field, Tom.
Carroll and Buss teaming up to really cover Sean Worspawn, who is their leading receiver, but doesn't have the big numbers. 14 receptions on the year. And Vic Boblin feels that Worspawn can be a major college player, but he might, as they say, slip through the cracks and maybe wind up maybe in a lower division than maybe he should have been.
Well, he's one of those people that he doesn't have all those big numbers, but yet he's always presence. He's on the offense, he's on the defense, he does all the kicking.
3rd and 2. And that should be the last play, unless they get the first down, which means they'll have to stop the clock to move the change. They do stop the clock with 6 seconds to go. Troy Copeland on the carry, and Greg Trenter, middle linebacker, on the stop. It is a first down, so they move the chains. And the officials say that Geneseo has asked for and been granted a timeout.
Right. Mark Mosner, the quarterback, asked for a timeout, and coach is going to go out there. Coach Boblett's going to go out there right now and just say, look, we've got one play. Let's see what we can do. And I'm sure he's going to throw it again.
Well, you figure, if nothing else, it goes up for grabs. Even if it's intercepted, that defender would have to run close to 100 yards, probably.
Right. It's either he's in the open or throw it out. But you certainly don't want to give them the football and have them return it on you.
What about that missed point after, in terms of the psychological edge in this ballgame? Seemed like momentum was really coming over to the Joliet Catholic side. Then all of a sudden comes the block point after.
Well, it's going to help, because at least now you go in at halftime and say, look, we had to get another touchdown to win anyway. We were only going to be tied. So that part of it, if it gets to a shootout, then of course then you've got another problem. But at this point, you can still go into the locker room and say, look, they're giving us everything. We're going to be able to do this. Here's what we have to do. Forget the extra point. Now, if you're the coach at Geneseo, you go in there and say, look, we need to regenerate. We're ahead 7-6. If they don't score again, we win the football game. So those are the 2 points of views when you go in the locker room.
It is 1st and 10 officially at the 41-yard line, but this will be the last play of the first half. As Motzer rolls out, Horn putting the pressure on, and Motzer says, all right, that's enough. Let's just run out of bounds, and we'll take it to the locker room for halftime. Now, wait a minute.
There is a flag.
There is a penalty marker down back at the 40-yard line.
Joliet Catholic will probably decline it, and that'll be the end of...
It's a hold against the offense, so it'll most likely be declined. Of course, as many know, the half cannot, or a game cannot, or a half cannot end on a defensive penalty. That one against the offense.
That holding on the green, decline.
And so we are at halftime, and these 2 great 4A programs have slugged it out toe-to-toe to a virtual deadline.
And it's every been as good as we expected, Tom. We came out here with some expectations. We were a little concerned whether Geneseo would stand in the trenches and want to hammer it out, and they've surprised them a little bit by some of the things that they've done offensively and defensively.
I think Geneseo, in their own way, has been able to slug it out with Joliet Catholic.
Yes, it's been a sneaky way. They haven't gone straight head-to-head. They've just done some different things, taken different angles, and surprised them, I think, with their quickness.
And on the sidelines, Joe Passion as the Joliet Catholic coach.
Well, Bob Stone is here. He's got some things to think about here at halftime. This kind of reminds me of the Morris game that started out the playoffs. A rugged first half, but you go into the locker room very much in the ballgame.
Yeah, you know, they're really coming at us hard on defense. They're giving us a lot of different looks and really blitzing at us, coming at us tough.
Is that what's causing the problems, the frustrations of your offensive line? They seem confused out there.
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know. It's confused, more tentative than confused. You know, we talked about this all week, but you just got to come off the ball and just block, you know, your area. You don't have to worry about blocking an individual.
How much, that one point, Bone Break's kick that was partially blocked, momentum is swerving your way, and then all of a sudden that block kind of puts a dent in it, does it?
Yeah, it does. It does somewhat. You know, that's a big play for them. You know, instead of a tie game, it's a one-point lead.
One final thing, Darren Freeman, just how much is his ankle recovered? Will he be used? Is he still a threat for you?
Yeah, he is. We used him the last 4 minutes of the first half there. We just didn't throw his way as often.
All right, Bob, have a great second half. Thank you. Bob Stone, head football coach for Joliet Catholic. We'll talk to the Geneseo head coach coming out of the locker room. But in the meantime, back upstairs to Jack and to Mike.
All righty, then this one promises to go right down to the wire after the first half. It's 7-6 in favor of the Maple Leafs of Geneseo. Back with more from Hancock Stadium on Sports Channel right after this timeout.
Hello.
Catch a wave. Catch a wave. Catch a wave. Catch a wave. Catch a wave and you're sitting on top of the world. Catch a wave and you're sitting on top of the world.
Summer fun and waves all year long at the indoor Bolingbrook Surf Center. Dial 75 Waves.
From the Bulls, the Bears, and the Blackhawks to the best in college football action, nobody brings you Chicago's favorite sports teams like the team at Eyewitness Sports.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tim Weigel. Tonight after the Bulls game, join the Eyewitness Sports team for a complete wrap-up, including all the high-flying highlights. Plus, you'll get a look at all the action from the day in sports.
Catch all the highlights from tonight's game with the Clippers, only on Channel 7 Eyewitness News at 10.
This weekend on Continental Cablevision. Saturday, a young girl wishes her parents would reunite.
You have to come at once. Something important has happened.
The Disney Channel presents Lantern Hill. Then on Sunday, they say the past holds many secrets.
You are a murderer. A murderer.
George C. Scott stars in HBO's original thriller, Descending Angel. This weekend, catch Lantern Hill on the Disney Channel and Descending Angel on HBO.
Back at Hancock Stadium, Tom Stalker, Bill Gorley, Joe Passion with you. As at halftime in the Class 4A championship game, it's Geneseo leading by a missed extra point over the team ranked number 2 in this class through most of the year. Joliet Catholic 7-6. You take a look, scoring for each team. A 27-yard touchdown run by Geneseo's Ryan Verbeck, capping up a 64-yard drive in 3 plays. Big play on the drive, the 35-yard run by Matt Jaycox. And that came with 6:52 to go in the first quarter. Then late in the second quarter with 45 seconds remaining, a 72-yard 8-play drive for the Hilltoppers, culminating with the 2-yard run by Brian Holman. The big play in that drive, the 33-yard pass from Nudo to Allstott to help set it up. And the point after, as we said, was partially deflected, and that is the difference right now in the game, 7-6.
But that has been a problem for Joliet Catholic all year. They to miss 11 point afters, that's an inordinate number, and of course then today again they missed another one. So that's the difference. But the big thing that Coach Stone alluded to when he was talking to Joe was the fact that they've got to get their blocking straightened out against Geneseo's different defensive looks. And he mentioned that they were going to block an area as opposed to people.
Coming up, we'll go back to Joe Passion, who will talk with the Tribune's Paul Sullivan as we continue with our halftime show from Hancock Stadium as Geneseo leads by 1.
There are holes, and there are holes. Home entertainment centers, and then home entertainment centers. 10,000 radio stations. And America's classic radio station, Chicago's favorite, WGN. When radio matters, it's the difference between Thanksgiving at Grandma's house and...
Gleason, people are always talking about the great deal they got at Gleason Chevrolet, Golf Mill Ford, Gleason Buick, Gleason Dodge Jeep Eagle. What's so special?
Gleason, I put a special group of guys together to give a customer a special feeling.
It's true, the Gleason team is in a league all its own.
Thank you, Gleason.
Thank you, Gleason. Thank you, Gleason. Hey, Gleason's missing.
He's out working.
Thank you, Shea and Boniro. Shea and Boniro.
All right, welcome back down to the field here at Hancock Stadium in the Illinois State University campus. The IHSA Class 4A State Championship game. We are at halftime, 7-6. Geneseo Darnell leading Joliet Catholic. Joe Passion back down with you, along with Paul Sullivan, veteran sports writer for the Chicago Tribune. I got Paul's name right, even though I'm mixing up some of the announcers' names, but they're good old guys up there in the skybox, our broadcast booth. Down here on the field, we get a great perspective of where high school football is going these days, and we love it when we get them in our ears. Where have you seen the biggest changes on the competition, the quality of the players you're seeing on the field?
I think we're seeing faster players, a lot better backs. This is a great year for running backs. You just saw Hickey Thompson the last game. He's got over 3,000 yards, and the Bauer kid in the first game. I think we're seeing bigger and faster linemen, and I think a lot of it is that they're working out in the weight rooms more than in the old days, and that's just making everyone better.
One of the things that we have been discussing here, and as it seems like it comes up every year, particularly when the big schools like the 4 through 6A start coming in, about separating the private and public schools. Is that a future possibility?
Well, I would have to say it is, just going by the reaction of the rest of the state. You have to realize that in the bigger cities, Chicago and the St. Louis area, there are Catholic schools that are always going to be somewhat dominant. But then you also have to realize there's a lot of Catholic schools that are 2-8, or 2-7, and 3-6 every year. So people don't think about it. It's not every Catholic school that it's good. There's just as many Catholic schools that aren't that good. And plus you have schools like Richards and Homewood Flossmoor that they recruit with the Catholic schools and I mean, keep kids in their communities, and I think it's going to happen, but I think it's a shame because I don't think there should be separate playoffs.
Morris High School head coach Dan Darlington told me prior to their game against Joliet Catholic to open up these 4A playoffs earlier this month, or actually last month, that 2 of his toughest games in memory was against Geneseo, and the other one was later Joliet Catholic. Tells you about the 2 great public school programs they have, keeping their kids in school and right in their own program. There's a lot of pride to be taken from the public schools to be able to do that.
I know, there's so many great public schools that can keep winning year after year. And sure, you're going to have Mount Carmel's that always win, and St. Rita's and Belleville Altofts. But I think as long as there's a balance down here, half the schools parochial and half public, I don't think you should have 2 playoffs. It would just water it down too much, in my opinion.
one of the great aspects about the large attendance here at this year's IHSA football finals has been even the schools from the Chicagoland area are schools that have big followings, and they're going to be here in mass.
I've seen a lot bigger crowds at this year's playoffs than the last few years. I don't know if it's we've had great weather this year. Obviously, it's been pretty mild, but I think people are getting more into high school football because all the scandals in college and the pros, you know, letting Dexter Manley back in the league after a lifetime suspension. I think people just get tired of that, and I think a lot of people are turning back to high school football because it's a lot more fresh.
Well, why don't you tell us what you really mean? Hey, look, if we stay here any longer, we could probably get into a little high leg kick here, the way this band is going. But we'll have to turn it back upstairs, and Tom and Bill will be back later on with more of our halftime festivities right after this timeout on our Sports Channel presentation of high school football.
There are holes, and there are holes. Home entertainment centers, and then home entertainment centers. 10,000 radio stations. And America's classic radio station, Chicago's favorite, WGN. When radio really matters, it's the difference between Thanksgiving at Grandma's house and...
The high school action is hot in Chicagoland, and nobody delivers it better than Preps Plus in the Chicago Tribune. Every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Preps Plus serves up the games, the players, and the plays that mean the most to you. High school's greatest hits, scores, and a way to keep track of the local sports scene. So dive into full color coverage and get in the game. The high school game with Preps Plus, only in the Trib. For home delivery, call 1-800-TRIBUNE.
We've got our tight battle for the Class 4A championship at halftime. Geneseo leading 7-6. Let's relive now some of the highlights from the first half in this ballgame. For the third straight ballgame, a Joliet Catholic opponent scores on its first drive.
And there's Verbeck. He just on a straight ahead dive, and he just outruns everybody. I think they would. Joliet Catholic obviously had to be surprised at the quickness of Geneseo as they came out. And there was a good example with Ryan Verbeck.
And in the second quarter, Joliet Catholic, they're supposed to be a running team.
And here's a good catch by Mike Allstock. And then a tremendous run. Follows his blockers, comes down the sideline, needles his way, and is finally knocked out of bounds. Mike Allstead, I'm sure, will come on as the second half approaches.
And that set up the touchdown by Brian Holman.
And again, your good old fullback, Woody Hayes type football. Just come right at him, smash him right in the face mask. 230-pound fullback scores, and it's 7-6. Joliet Catholic missing the extra point.
And again, it's 7-6 because the point after by let's take a look now at stats from the first half, but the point after obviously was blocked following the Catholic touchdown, as the total yardage relatively even, Bill.
Yes, and what of course is surprising is the fact that Joliet Catholic only has 65 yards on the ground. I'm sure that's not characteristic. And total yards, though, they're pretty even. So the passing has been a little bit more significant. Time, you've got Geneseo with 10, and you've got Joliet Catholic with 13, which surprises me a little bit because it seemed like Geneseo had the ball more often.
And turnovers are even, as neither team was able to capitalize off the turnover. And so, were it not for a missed point after, we'd be dead even. See, -1 yard passing.
Yes, and of course, Geneseo came in and said they weren't going to pass unless they really had to, and they really don't feel they have to. They feel they can run with these people.
That could change. Maybe it won't in the second half as we get ready for third quarter action from Hancock Stadium here in the Class 4A championship game on Sports Channel.
Because Schaumburg Toyota... Because Schaumburg Toyota is among the nation's largest retail Toyota dealers and has exceeded every Toyota quota with 3 times the volume and 3 times the inventory, Schaumburg Toyota can now offer you maximum incentives on Toyota's 3 best sellers, with up to $1,400 in factory incentives on new Toyota Camrys, factory incentives of up to $1,400 on Toyota Tercels, and up to $1,400 in factory incentives on Toyota Corollas. At Schaumburg Toyota, Toyota's factory incentive headquarters, 875 West Gulf Road. Hurry, sale ends December 4th.
Don't miss a beat of what's going on with the Chicago Bulls. Catch the Emmy Award-winning Bulls Beat. It's a weekly look at team highlights, along with player profiles, interviews, and the ever-exciting Michael Jordan moment. Bulls head coach Phil Jackson joins Jim Durham and Johnny Kerr with the latest on the Bulls, providing his in-depth analysis of each game. So get with the beat. That's Bulls Beat each week on Sports Channel. It's exclusive coverage of the 1990 Girls Swimming and Diving Championships on Sports Channel. Will Oak Park and River Forest be able to three-peat in 1990, or will New Trier make a comeback and claim this year's title? Find out Sunday, November 25th at 1, as Sports Channel presents the 1990 IHSA Girls Swimming and Diving Championships. Both individual and team performances will be highlighted from Evanston Township High School. That's Sunday at 1 on Sports Channel.
Well, we are back here at Hancock Stadium as the Hilltoppers have made their appearance, and now here come the Maple Leafs as we prepare for the start of the third quarter here in this 4A championship game. Tom Stalker, Bill Gurley, Joe Passion with you, providing the coverage here on Sports Channel. It's all exclusively right here. Earlier today in 1A, Sterling Newman in overtime defeated Bloomington Catholic. In 2A, Seneca over Gillespie. 3A tonight, Belleville Altop over Rock Island Alderman. And of course, we've got 5A and 6A tomorrow.
Well, you're looking at Coach Stone there, and you have to wonder, what did he tell Joliet Catholic at halftime? He's never had to talk to him in this type of situation where they've been down, and the closest, of course, has been 10 points. So what does he tell his team? They've got to block area. They can't worry about individuals. Don't be confused.
Let's go down to the sidelines. Joe Passion has Vic Boblett.
Go ahead, Coach. Vic, real quickly, I appreciate you sharing some time with us. A little bit about your halftime. You got some momentum back with that block extra point.
Well, that's a critical point. These state championship games oftentimes are decided by 1 point, so every one of them is critical. We're real excited about that. We know we got to play the greatest 24 minutes of our lives if we want to be state champions.
Have a great second half, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vic Boblett, he was in a hurry. He didn't want to come over here. He was nice enough to spend a minute with us. Back upstairs now to Bill and Tom.
Yeah, he may look calm on the outside, but you can see the intensity about Vic Boblett. And both these sidelines, both these great programs, tradition-rich programs here in this 4A title game.
Well, Joe, you can appreciate the fact that he wants to get these people ready to go, and he's as intense as his football team is. And the question is, what did he tell his team at halftime? What is he going to change, if anything? Or is he going to put a little new wrinkle here or there? Is he going to come up with something fancy? He always says they work on different kinds of plays just for situations. It doesn't make a difference whether it's a championship game or not. And it'll be interesting to see if they try anything fancy at this point to try and fool Joliet Catholic.
I tend to think that Bob Stone there told his team, all right, this is now the half where you're going to prove you're the football team we think you are. While Vic Boblett says, look at that scoreboard. You just battle them toe-to-toe, and you've got the lead.
It's tough. This is an ego thing. You have a football team like Joliet Catholic that is dominated, and obviously their ego is wounded a little bit. Can they recover? Can Mike Allstott get them fired up enough to be able to win the football game? I don't know, but I know this. I am really impressed with Geneseo and the attitude with which they came into this football game. They were not going to back down one iota, and they have not.
To begin the third quarter, Geneseo will receive and defend the goal to your right. And, of course, Joliet Catholic will kick and defend the goal to your left. And if Geneseo can do something with the football and put some points on right off the bat here in the third quarter, as they did in the opening quarter, but obviously Catholic knows they are in for one heck of a tussle.
And, of course, having come into this game and have never lost a state championship, That would be tough to take if you were at Joliet Catholic to go back home and have to say we were the first team that did not win the state championship. And I'm sure Coach Stone reminded them of that.
Again, folks, for those of you who may have just joined us a little while ago, of these two teams entering tonight's action, they had been in the championship game of different classes 11 times. 10 times they've come away with the state championship. So both these programs know what it means to be on this field.
And this is the first time that either one of these people have played each other. So, and that's what makes the state championship so interesting and so much fun, is that you've got two great traditions and they're meeting each other here. Obviously, they can't both win the state championship.
Into kickoff will be Jeff Bonebrake for the Hilltoppers of Joliet Catholic. While back deep is Troy Copeland. Taken by an up man at the 19-yard line. That's Verbeck. He tries to reverse the field, but he is knocked off balance at the 23-24-yard line. Mike Preet kept him from getting outside the other way.
And that was not a bad idea. If he had not been tripped up, the wall had started. He had a good way to run if he had gotten away from that one arm tackle.
Again, the quarterback, the 5'8" senior Mark Motzer, a real competitor, in the words of Big Boblet, gets done what needs to get done. They send Worspan wide to the left, and they send Bobby Whiteside wide to the right. A double wing single setback formation. And a quick hitter up the middle. It's only a yard.
Now that's a different look. They have not spread Joliet Catholic out, so obviously now they want to go to a little different look just to see how Joliet Catholic will adjust to it.
It'll be second down and 9 from the 25, just underway in the third quarter. The Maple Leafs in the green and gold have a 1-point lead, 7-6.
And again, that double split with double wing, single back.
A moderate drop. Now Horn flushes him out of the pocket, and it is caught across the way, but a penalty marker is thrown back at the line of scrimmage, and that's where you would expect to be holding. There is John Horn, who flushed quarterback Mark Motzer out of the pocket and sent him to the sidelines. That might send me to another state.
A good example of John Horn and his ability. He can't get handled. If he'd have stuck his arm out, he would have knocked him down, but he certainly put the pressure on to flush him out.
Yeah,
there's a good shot of John Horn.
And how he got held, which is why they moved the ball back to the 11-yard line.
On the green, repeat second down.
That's a blatant hold. You can't get away with that kind of a hold. This is not where Coach Boblet wants to start his offensive thrust in the shadows of his own goalpost.
Second and 23 from the 11-yard line. The give is to Jaycox, and he is hemmed in for no gain on the play.
Well, you can see that Joliet Catholic has moved their defensive intensity up a notch.
Heck, they might have knocked it up to a whole different level.
It might. It's also interesting to see if Horn stays in for more than one series, or if he just comes in and out like they have been doing with Gray.
You take a look at Mike Jones, and there is Mike Preet, the safety man. 10:20 to go, third quarter, third and 23 from the 11. Ryan Verbeck breaking tackles, but is finally slowed down at the 14-yard line after a 3-yard gain. Tom Snyder, the left tackle, the 2-year starter, makes the stop.
And again, John Horn in on defense for his series. Comes across the line nice and low, gets underneath the pads, then comes back, gets a hand on Verbeck to hold him up enough so his teammates can make the play.
Horn and Schneider team up to make that stop. And it is fourth down, and back to punt is Sean Worspan as he gets the kick away inside his 5 with good hang time. Driving Bonebrake back to his 48. He gets to the sidelines. And he is down to the 25-yard line. A big return for Bonebrake.
And that's the kind of football Joliet Catholic knows how to play. Good field position, put pressure on them, and of course right now they get a good run back. That's the first time, I believe, the Joliet Catholic will see where he didn't call, and that's not the way you want to catch it. You don't catch it like you're catching the ball in the outfield.
But he got outside at Bob Whiteside
and came down the sidelines and made a nice return. But that's the first time we have not seen a free catch.
Now they have moved the football back to the Geneseo 39-yard line, and they're stepping off a penalty from that point on the return. Oh, my. A big return for bone break negated by the penalty all the way back to the Joliet Catholic 47-yard line.
We'll get the call right here, Tom.
Flipping on the white, first down.
I'm sure that just increased the stomach acid level of that particular coach, Bob Stone.
Certainly not happy with it.
Or you go from the 25 of Geneseo back to your own territory at the 47.
And it makes a difference in what your offensive scheme is. That's Canada.
Irving in motion. They also had another man in motion. Penalty markers fly as Brian Holman slams it across the 50, but this one will definitely come back. I didn't think we had suddenly been shifted north of the border.
No, it looked like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with two people in motion.
So now back-to-back mistakes, back-to-back mental breakdowns for Joliet Catholic as they had two men in motion.
You can't have two backs, and they both went in the opposite direction. That'd be great if you could do that. It'd be a heck of an offensive scheme. But you see, that's what's happening. Geneseo is causing Joliet Catholic confusion because of the different defensive looks that they're giving.
Illegal shift on the white, first down.
And there's a call where they have two people in motion.
Yes, even the most laid-back of armchair referees was able to pick up that one as we see the penalty situation. Catholics been penalized for 35 yards. Geneseo 3 times for 24. First and 15. Now for the Hilltoppers from their own 42. High call stopped. Stopped at the 45-yard line after a gain of 3 by the nose guard, Wade Murphy, the 5'10 senior. There you see him.
And really almost lost his balance more than it was a great defensive play by Geneseo.
In fact, they say his knee first went down at the 44, so it's a gain of only 2, and it's 2nd and 13.
Well, you know, he leans so much. He leans forward. And you get a chance to see Mike. He's lean, and then his knee came down, and it was the nose guard, Wade Murphy, who came in and made the initial stop.
2nd and long. Single setback, and they send Lynch in motion. But before the snap, the officials stopped the action.
And it's motion on Joliet Catholic again, simply because of the movement that the defense of Geneseo has created.
Dead ball foul, false start on the white.
3 mental breakdowns from a team that you don't expect to see that from.
Is Coach Stone getting heartburn or what? I mean, he's liable to go out on that field pretty soon.
So now they had a chance on the punt run back to have it at the 25 of Geneseo. Now they're all the way back to their 39-yard line. 2nd and 18. Lynch is man in motion. And Nedlow wants to throw, just gets it away. There's pass interference. Pass interference at the Geneseo 45-yard line.
Some great pressure on Nedlow, the quarterback. Geneseo, here's the pass. Geneseo really applies some pressure from the backside. It was fortunate to even get it off, and now we'll see the interference. And I think it was on Cameron Minert, who was in there to make the play. I don't know. That was pretty close.
You know, with the liberalized rules now on that situation where if the defender is also facing the football, you can have some contact.
And to me, it looked like simultaneous contact.
Pass interference on the green, first down.
They're calling it, and of course, we're seeing it in a different angle. We'll get a chance to see it in another angle here. I don't know, Tom. He was over his back, but you both have a right to go to the ball. I will not criticize any official. That's a tough job.
First and 10 at the 45. Holman never really got started. Slowed up at the line by the linebacker, Brad Derricks, and the rest of the Maple Leafs mopped up on the play.
Holman just could not get his feet going to be able to generate any kind of movement. And that was, go ahead, Tom. That was the movement was you had Eric Gray, who Holman was trying to go off tackle off of Eric Gray's tail, and he couldn't get his feet going.
7 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the third quarter. Allstott breaks a tackle and falls inside the 40 for a couple of extra yards on second effort to the 38-yard line. Finally stopping him was the strong safety, Matt Jaycox.
Allstott's limping a little bit. I don't know if it's his thigh or if it's an ankle. He's going off the field right now. That would really hurt Joliet Catholic, and Scooter Irby is coming in.
They could smuggle him in somebody's back pocket.
Just follow those big old tackles, get right in behind him, nobody will see him.
Yeah, but Scooter also at 75 yards and 12 carries against Leo. The fullback Holman is really corralled as he battles hard just to get back to the line of scrimmage and avoid losing yardage on the play. Linebacker Brandon Tierling was the one who really put the brakes to him.
You know, the key to be able to bring down Holman is you've got to hit him early and hit him low so he cannot move his feet. And that's exactly what Geneseo did. They had 3 or 4 people all come in there to do that, and Holman just couldn't get his movement going. He couldn't get his momentum going forward.
Here it comes, 4th and 1.
Big play here, Tom.
At the Geneseo 36. Allstott gets the first down. Somebody shot through there and was able to get to Nedlow just as he handed off the football.
If he had hit him a split second faster, it would have either created a fumble or they would have tackled him in the backfield. I cannot believe how fast those people are. They're beating Joliet Catholic across the line. They're beating them up front.
That was Wade Murphy, the nose guard that knifed through there.
Tremendous penetration.
But showing the good power and showing that big 233-pound-a-man offensive line firing up, they're able to get the yardage for Allstott on the first down at the 33-yard line.
I tell you, Wade Murphy is playing one whale of a football game today.
Lynch is the man in motion. Allstott is able to fall down to the 32-yard line. Andy Mitchell, the left tackle, makes the stop for Geneseo. And a little bit of a traffic jam in the backfield involving Allstott and Brian Holman. They are jammed up as the defensive line for Geneseo drove the offensive lineman back into the backfield.
I'll tell you what, if you don't like to get your nose dirty, this is not a game to be playing. We'll get a chance. Look at Wade Murphy. 3 people are blocking Wade Murphy, and they put him back in the nickel seats, and they still got him for a loss.
Here's a screen on 2nd and 9. Allstott inside the 20 to the 19. He picks up 13 yards and a first down for the Hilltoppers.
Now that's the best way, running screens and draws, to take away the kind of defense that we're seeing from Geneseo where they're firing people. Here's a good example. They're all over to Nedlow, and he's got a few blockers out in front of him. And Mike Allstott, you can't bring him down the first time. You're going to have a couple, 3 people to be able to put him down.
You're so right, Bill. A screen pass is such a very effective weapon against a very aggressive defense.
And then, of course, you got to use a draw once in a while, too.
1st and 10 from the Geneseo 19. Holman through the left side. He is down to the 13-yard line after a gain of 6. Strong safety Matt Jaycox on the stops, and the Hilltoppers are bidding for the lead.
From our angle up here, there was just a little crack, and Holman got in there, and he was able to get his legs up. He doesn't have that quickness off the ball, but once he gets rolling, he's tough to bring down.
And how about the way Joliet Catholic has been able to overcome the 3 penalties that were part of this drive early?
That's the key. If they can do anything here score-wise.
Fumble on the snap. Nedlow picks it up and gets to the 9. He's able to pick up 4 yards, and he's close to the first down marker.
And it's almost like a quarterback draw when you do that.
And again, with the artificial surface, you'll get that basketball-type bounce.
No, I think that's a good point, Tom, is the ability for Joliet Catholic not to get disturbed by the fact that they had so many penalties. You know, that frustrates any kind of team, and particularly a high school football team, and yet they were able to come back and put some kind of a drive together. And this hasn't been anything of beauty, I'll tell you that.
It is a first down.
This is what you call a bloody nose drive.
1st and goal at the 9. Yeah, it hasn't been pretty, but it has been effective. At one point, Joliet Catholic was backed up to its 39-yard line, facing 2nd and 18. Now it's 1st and goal at the 9 of Geneseo. Geneseo leading by 7-6. Lynch in motion. He gets the handoff. Has blocking. And he is in for the touchdown.
You know, as soon as he made his cut to the outside, you could tell he smelled touchdown.
He had blocking.
And then yes, he had the blocking early, and then he cut to the outside, and then he knew he was on his own.
And then he had to make it with second effort to get the ball over the goal line and get it in for the touchdown as we watch the play on the left side.
A good example of he sees the hole, he cuts to the outside right there, puts it on, and of course, Brent McGraw helped make the block for him, but Mike Allstott really put the steam on after he saw he had movement to the outside.
The point after by Bone Break is good, and with 4:08 to go here in the third quarter, it is now 13-7 in favor of Joliet Catholic in the 4A state championship game here at Hancock Stadium.
The question is, do you go for 2 points or do you kick the...
The high school action is hot in Chicagoland, and nobody delivers it better than Preps Plus in the Chicago Tribune. Every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Preps Plus serves up the games, the players, and the plays that mean the most to you. High school's greatest hits, scores, and a way to keep track of the local sports scene. So dive into full-color coverage and get in the game. The high school game with Preps Plus, only in the Trib. For home delivery, call 1-800-TRIBUNE.
Gleason, people are always talking about the great deal they got at Gleason Chevrolet, Golf Mill Ford, Gleason Buick, Gleason Dodge Jeep Eagle. What's so special?
Gleason, I put a special group of guys together to give a customer a special feeling.
It's true, the Gleason team is in a league all its own.
Thank you, Gleason.
Thank you, Gleason. Thank you, Gleason. Hey, Gleason's
out working.
Thank you, Shea and Boniro. Shea and Boniro.
Have taken the lead on a drive where they had to overcome not only Geneseo, but themselves.
Yes, and Mike Allstott, you know, he bruised the thigh earlier in the game, and just about 3 or 4 plays before the touchdown run, he limped off the field. So he may not be as healthy as you would like, and that could be a key too. If he stiffens up, he might not be able to run the ball. In 10 plays, and they score.
The ball on the kick goes out of bounds, and the penalty markers fly on the illegal procedure penalty. You must keep the kickoff in the field of play. And so they'll kick it again from 5 yards further back as you see Jeff Bonebreak, the kick specialist, a very versatile athlete for Joliet Catholic.
The point I was going to bring up before we had our cue break was, what about going for 2? You're down. Why would you not go for 2? Forcing the other team to have to make some kind of a decision. Right now, if they score, they've got to kick the extra point, but they can still win the football game 14-13. So just a question.
And also a big key, that drive meant that the football was out of Geneseo's hands for nearly 6 minutes. The ball touched off an up man, off a blocker, and Geneseo falls on it at the 40-yard line. They get good field position, but it almost was costly.
And this is where you want to see if Geneseo really, if they can respond after Joliet Catholic takes the lead, how they come up and what they do offensively. Can they regenerate? Can they do the things that they did earlier in the football game and surprise Joliet Catholic? Or is the domination of that size going to take place right now?
Mark Mutzer sets him up at the 40. Big hole for Troy Copeland. And he is up to the 50-yard line.
You know, he's been having a real good evening. Every time he gets the ball, he seems to make good yardage. And it looks like he tripped over the tall grass on the AstroTurf. Here, he just lost his balance.